You're listening to Prosperity Report, Love and Money Podcast, the relationship podcast that helps you feel more confident financially and romantically. We do this by giving you actionable ideas to help you stop comparing and start repairing your mindset, your money, your relationship, and your life. I'm your host, Kanae Corder, best-selling author, international speaker, hypnotherapist, and financial therapist. Let's grow with the flow together. Enjoy the show. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you ever wonder if your brain is secretly plotting against you? I've spent my entire career equipping people with a system to untangle the negative messages and programs imprinted by society. These messages block you from success, the success you were meant to have. And right now, whether you know it or not, your brain is standing in the way of that success. If your business has not reached the level of success that you would like it to, go ahead and take my free assessment. I'll walk you through the questions I ask every person I work with in my clinical practice. This assessment will help you recognize if you're stuck and give you the answers needed to get unstuck so you can finally have that success you have worked so hard for and know you were meant for. So go ahead, go to KanaeCorder.com/coach and take the free assessment. You'll get a free membership to the Prosperity Club and one free course. You can upgrade later if you like. For now, join the club by taking the free assessment. Find out if your brain is plotting against you and what you can do to reprogram your mindset, your money, your business, and your life. Click the link below or go to KanaeCorder.com/coach. I'll see you there. Hey there, my Prosperos. Welcome back to another episode of Prosperity Report. Today, we're going to continue our discussion on business ownership, entrepreneurship, and we're really going to get down to how to fall in love with your business. I brought on somebody who I know that is totally in love with her business, Agatha Achindu. She is an American entrepreneur, educator, speaker, writer, and media personality. She is so passionate about feeding children healthy food. She believes that every child should be able to eat healthy. Nutrition is your birthright, she says. She's a regular contributor to Washington Post and has appeared on many national and international media outlets. Today Show, Huffington Post, CNN. She's been in Forbes, Fortune, you name it. Agatha founded the first nationally available brand of fresh, frozen, organic baby and tot food. It started in her kitchen, and now she's in stores like Target, Walmart, and moving into Kroger. I don't want to talk anymore. I want to introduce you to our guest today. So please join me in welcoming our guest today, Agatha Achindu. Hey, Agatha.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on Prosperity Report. I'm excited to sit and talk business with you today.
Oh, I know. I'm excited to talk with you too. I get a treat to see you, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And whenever we get together, it's just so powerful. It's always so great. So I'm so happy to be with you too.
Thank you.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you here on Prosperity Report is because, one, you're one of the few women that I know who, no matter freaking what, like, you go at it with confidence. Like, I've never seen you one day without full confidence, no matter what's happening in your life. And I just love that about you. But before we talk about that, the number one question that I ask every guest is, what is your idea of prosperity?
I think for me, my idea of prosperity is health, happiness. When I'm happy, when I'm healthy, I'm wealthy. Yeah, because there is no money on planet Earth that can give those two things.
Yeah.
Health
Yeah.
and that deep sense of joy, that joy that comes from within. You can't buy it. You have to cultivate and nurture it.
Yes. And that kind of brings me to what I was saying about you, because you really have cultivated that inner joy that comes out, and it comes out as confidence. That's the way that I translate it. So talk to me a little bit about, how did that inner joy get cultivated?
I think it comes from a deep sense of faith. It hasn't always been like this. I think the right way for me to put it is not that I don't have stress.
Mm-hmm.
I go through the same stressor like everybody else. The difference with me is that I have hope because I have faith. So there is nothing that's happening to me today, no matter how dark it is. I always tell myself there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I know for sure that I worship a living God. I know it sounds so cliche, but this is what has worked for me and continues to work for me. Because I'm honest, my life is just a testament of God's grace.
Mm-hmm.
If I want something hard enough, and this is something that's good, not just for me, but for everyone else, and I work hard at it, it's always come to fruition. Because that's how I pray.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I hear you, in the past have told stories about how your faith has gotten you through this business ownership, which is, our topic for today is really understanding business and how you push through and get through it and work and enjoy it. But I've heard you tell so many stories about how your faith got you each step closer to where you are today. And even, there's more to come. Of course, this is just the middle, but this is still big. For some people listening to you today, you're going to be way ahead of them. And of course, there will be people that you're behind and you're trying to get to where they are. There was a story you told about, I think you were in a cooking kitchen and the stoves weren't working, and then you started praying and then something happened. Can you tell that story?
So this is in our kitchen in one of our manufacturing plants in California. And this guy, he had put one huge spot to make our baby food because we didn't want any cross-contamination. So there were 6 huge kettles. And when I'm talking about huge kettles, these are 3,000-pound kettles. You can imagine how big. This is, I think, 2,500 square foot, that little space. Oh. I call it little, but this is bigger than my home. And we had technicians from the Netherlands who were putting the filling machines and all these things. Oh my goodness. Day one, machines are not working. This kettle will work, that one will break, and this. Girl, I didn't even know what to do. I called a friend of mine who is one of my prayer warriors here, Kim Lattimore. I had called my sister Vivian, who is also a huge prayer warrior of mine. When I'm tight, I call her. Okay. And I had them on the phone. They're like, you know what? You go to the kitchen. We're praying. I mean, this is on speaker. They're like, just keep touching. People were looking at me as if I had gone completely nuts. But I know what works for me. Right. And I believe it. And I'm touching. These things are bigger and taller than me. I'm walking around and I'm touching. And we're praying. People are like, I think she's gone crazy.
And you are laying hands on the stoves,
Let me tell you, the kettles, the filling machine, and I'm done. This took about 7 minutes. Then I went outside because I needed to stand on the ground while I'm looking up to heaven. Took off my shoes outside and girl, we pray. I mean, I don't pray as loud, but my people pray loud.
And that day you did.
Yeah, but to cut a long story short, kettles was what everything came on and it's working.
Wow.
And I'm just calling around giving my testimony. I called my sister, I'm like, it's working. She's like, I knew. It's not like things didn't break afterwards. I mean, this is an industrial kitchen. So things will break on and off.
Yeah.
But we were never on a standstill like we were those days.
Yeah.
That every damn thing in the kitchen is not working. I'm like, the devil is a liar. You know?
Right. So that really brings me to today's topic. And that is is it really hard work that gets us where we're going? Or is it something else? Because it sounds like in that moment, it didn't matter how hard you were working. No matter how hard every single person in there was working, in that moment, your faith is what got you through. So it sounds like there's a formula to this business ownership, and confidence is one thing that I admire so much about you that you fully have. Hard work, sure, you've got that too, but it's that hope that you talked about. That hope is also a big component to your success, would you say?
Yeah, I think, so everybody's journey is different when it comes to this business. It's business by itself, whether you're starting yours or you're running someone else's business, it's tricky. One thing that I know that is the difference between night and day with faith on the side is passion.
Yes.
Passion is that thing that makes you go above and beyond. And I think that's when you start looking, whether you're going through some TED Talks or listening to other people on different podcasts and things like that, the underlying theme, whether it's for people who don't believe in any type of life that's beyond them, I don't care whether you're a Christian or you're a Buddhist, whatever it is, there is still that thing of people who are passionate about what they do because they don't look at it as a job. It is a life for them, the same way as you breathe. So that's the thing that for a day like that, if I didn't feel so passionate about what I do, I won't really dig deep to call on my God to help me walk around in the kitchen and know that I'm being ridiculed with any and everybody who sees me at that moment until when things start working. Because that's the thing about faith. You can only look backwards and not forward because you're not God.
Yes. Right? And you just said something because you had to do this thing with other people ridiculing you. So let's talk a little bit about that, because when you're starting a business, not everybody is going to believe in you. When you left your job eventually, I'm sure there were people who were like, are you crazy leaving that great pay to start a business? So not everybody's going to have your back. How do you get through pushing through, I guess, the faith that people don't have in you?
Again, this is where that whole passion comes in, because passion gives you confidence.
Yeah.
Just believing in what you do gives you confidence. Even when you're starting, even today, where I want to say 14 years down the road, we've done the Whole Foods, we've done the Dean and DeLuca, we've done Target, we are doing Walmart, we're about to get into Kroger. All these big things happening. There are still people who don't believe.
Wow.
In it. That's just the reality. But I think it's important when you can come with the listening ear, because everybody has an opinion. Everybody has something to say. But when you listen, if you have the time to listen and you listen and you start breaking down these different ideas, these different opinions that they are bringing, the easiest way for me, the way I look when I receive those things, it's like, okay, this decision that I'm making, does it impact you financially? If it doesn't, then you fall on this category. So at the end of the day, with me, there was one person directly, and that was my husband. And then by default, my kids, because I just knew that living a 6-figure guaranteed salary job directly impacts our lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Because we've built a lifestyle on 2 great incomes. And I'm taking this leap of faith that I'm risking so much of our family life. And he believed in me.
Yeah.
He's just like, baby, listen, I see how many people come here to take classes. I see all these things you do. People are looking for this type of food. Parents need this. So let's do it.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So I gave your bio in the beginning, but I want you to tell us a little bit about Yummy Spoonfuls from your mouth, from that passion that you talk about it with. Tell us what Yummy Spoonfuls is.
This is the funniest thing, because every time when I do an interview, it doesn't matter whether it's Fortune, whether it's Inc. or CNN, that question always comes up. Like, oh, what's Yummy Spoonfuls? What inspired you to start Yummy Spoonfuls? And it warms my heart each and every time, because I didn't go out of my way to start Yummy Spoon. I never even thought that I wanted to own a business. I used to teach. On my free time, I used to teach parents how to make healthy food, especially for babies, how to read food labels, just talk to them about nutrition. And I remember I had gone to Fulton Regional Hospital because this was closer to my job then. I drive past it when I'm going to work, and I walk to them during break. I'm just like, oh, I would love to teach a nutrition class. I would love to just do a class to teach mothers how to cook, because they have a huge mother-baby betting center. And the first question the lady had asked me, like, oh, what's your name, the name of your business? And I'm like, I don't have a business. I'm just a mother. I'm frustrated enough. I want to do something about it. And I remember my first class with them, they had 30 moms who signed up. And that class I had showed them how to make popcorn in a pot, because the whole oven popcorn and the BPA and all the various chemicals that the packaging leaches. It's not just healthy for kids. So I showed them how to make popcorn on the stovetop in a pot. And we also had made baby food peas. That was the beginning. That little group grew to be 300. At one point, I had 300 moms.
Oh my gosh.
And remember, this is 2004.
Wow.
So there was
so this whole healthy thing wasn't even a fad yet.
Yes. Healthy eating wasn't as trendy as it is today.
Right.
Social media wasn't a thing. We used to have, I think it was called MySpace. And then there was the meetup that people would do, that people would sign up. And we would have different locations that we would meet, and I would offer my service for free. Every time when they come together, we would cook. We'll make a batch of food and then share it. The only thing I would ask them, people would contribute $25 at this point, and we make a big batch, and everybody would take home. What I noticed was a couple of people would always come back, even though they've learned how to make the food. And I remember one lady telling me, Agatha, I'm telling you this. My kids know when I cook the food, they won't eat it. When you make it, they love it. It actually just hit me. What they are looking for is the convenience of having this type of high quality food for their kids at home without having to make it. I remember one evening, I was telling my husband, I'm like, well, this could be a business though. You know, we didn't take it seriously. But one weekend, it was rainy. I had made a batch. Judges just happened to be home, which he shouldn't really be at that time. We used to live a very small neighborhood. One of these areas that, like, if you come into a neighborhood, you have to turn around and go out right how you came in. It was just, we had, I think, 6 homes in there. And this Saturday, we made a batch of food. So people were driving in and out. My husband looked at me. He's like, whatever it is that you are doing in this place, you got to take it somewhere. I don't want people to think we're dealing crack in this neighborhood. You know, it is. Sometimes it's hard being black in some areas.
Yes.
There are 7 houses. We were the only black couple there. So I finally decided, I'm like, you know what? Let me talk to somebody who has an idea. So I went to the SBA. I remember sitting with them, telling the guy, like, oh, I want to make fresh, frozen, organic food for babies and toddlers. And he's looking at me. He's like, yeah, this is the thing. Every mother wants to change the world. I'm like, and that's what we're doing. He's like, starting a business is not easy. I said, I know. I have 300. He's like, you know 300 mothers? I said, yes, I know 300 mothers who are willing to buy my product today. And he looked at me, he's like, a lot of businesses start with just an idea to go convince somebody. And you're telling me you already know 300 mothers? And mark you, that my little group of moms eventually grew from 300 to 45,000 moms. I never did one promotion. I never did one commercial, nothing.
Right. Because the passion,
Yeah.
people feel that, and then they go and talk about you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, I feel so strongly about this, because this was the thing. I saw how my kids eat. And I saw how some other parents, people with money, people who can afford nannies, people who can shop at Whole Foods, it's almost like there are two sets of parents. And in my heart, I don't care how many sets of parents, the wealthy, the affluent, the less wealthy, the underserved, I don't care. All children, every child that's born should have the same access to food, especially because no child chooses where they are born into. They don't choose like, I want to come into a home that doesn't have a lot of money, or I want to come into a home that have a lot of money. Nutrition should be a birthright, not a privilege. So it doesn't matter how much money you make, because so much of what they eat directly impacts their health.
Yes.
As adults, right? We eat for maintenance.
Right.
But children, the food that they eat, that's what builds their cells.
Yeah.
Their food is not just for maintenance, it's for development. So if they don't have the nutrients, they get sick all the time, which is so prevalent in our society today. But we're fixing that every day. When I open my mouth to speak, I believe in my heart that's what I'm fixing, because I'm helping parents connect the food they feed their kids with how their kids feel, act, and look.
Right.
What
Absolutely.
you put in is what you're going to get out. It's that simple.
Yes. So there's a couple of things I want to go back to, and I hope we can get them all in. But one of the things you said, you talked about, you made a decision which impacted your family, your husband, your children, even you, your lifestyle. So I definitely want to touch on that. I want to go deeper first on this idea of nutrition being your birthright, because that's something we say here. Prosperity is a birthright as well. Like everybody has the opportunity to get to wherever it is that they want to be. And like you said, that's different things for different people. And then the third thing that I really want to touch on is everybody can hear your accent. So you clearly have a different culture than this American culture. So maybe let's go there first and then to the nutrition. And then let's talk about your lifestyle change and how that affected your family. How about talking about your culture? Because you came here with a passion for healthy food that you didn't lose when you became an American. You didn't assimilate to this American way of eating. Tell me about that. Where did that come from? How did you keep it?
I think I would always be grateful, because that by itself is a huge blessing.
So where are you from?
I am originally from Cameroon and Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria and I grew up in Cameroon. My mother is Nigerian. My dad is Cameroonian. And as a child growing up, I honestly can count in my hand, one hand, how many times I had something that wasn't cooked in my home. That's just the way food was. Refrigerator was used for water or to keep meats. We cook every day, 3 times a day. Breakfast is made, lunch is made, dinner is made, and that's it. Day 2, you cook all over again. So that's the way I look at food. And I grew up with a mother who fundamentally believed that we truly are what we eat. My mom, if you have a headache, the first thing she'll look at, have you drank water? What did you eat today? Did you eat too much salt? That's just how I grew up.
Yeah.
When I moved to the United States, the first thing that caught my eye, there were so many sick people. I wasn't expecting to see that. I mean, coming from a third world, from a developing country, where we look at magazines and America is this grandiose place. I was so shocked when I got here. So many sick people, kids, adults, things I've never seen before. But when I walked into the grocery store, I could easily start connecting them. because I remember going into Giant, the first grocery store I went in. This is in 1990, many, many years ago.
Okay.
The food that I could recognize as food, it says produce section, was a little corner. And the rest of the store were boxes and boxes and cans and cans and cans and cans.
Wow.
And I'm just like, where is the food? Until I came to America, I didn't even realize that something like fresh corn or peas would be in cans. Like, why? You know?
Right. I have heard you tell the story that like your mom was confused as to what grass-fed beef is.
Girl.
What?
Yeah, this was way later when my mom came and we are in the store looking, and I'm picking up meat, I'm reading labels, I'm putting them back. And she's like, what are you looking for? And I'm like, I'm looking for grass-fed beef. The look on her face was priceless. She's like, and I'll translate this in English. She's just like, what does that mean? Cows eat grass.
What else would they eat?
Yes. She never even knew they would eat anything else. Like cows would eat corn, would eat soybeans. I mean, all the things that they shouldn't even be eating.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, my mother, when she would come to this America, until she leaves, she would never put any meat in her mouth. Never.
Wow.
But it was easy. This is the thing. And every time when I talk to parents, I say, you never feel like you want to judge yourself. Like, oh my God, you wish you had seen. I could easily see this because I came from a completely different food culture.
Right.
If this is what you know, you're actually standing in the middle of it. You can see that easily.
Yeah.
I have kids today. My 14-year-old has never had soda. If he's had it, not in my house.
Yeah.
That's never happened. We've never been to any fast food place. And today, he is old enough. I could hear him tell his friend, you shouldn't drink soda. Do you know it has 7 teaspoons of sugar? That thing can give you cancer.
Right. Don't you just love it when they're spreading the good news that you taught them?
But it wasn't always this easy. The hard time is when they're young, when there is peer pressure. That's when you really have to stick to it and be consistent and look for healthier alternatives. My kids are never deprived of anything because I know that whatever is out there, I could get them a healthier version of it. I mean, even if you go to my social media handle, you will see all type of recipes, whether it comes to fizzy drinks that I make for them that feels like soda, but I just make it at home with fresh fruits. It's all there. So nutrition is such a big deal for me.
Yes, I've seen your Instagram. It's beautiful and the food looks so good and healthy. I just want to come drive over. And my food is good, but your food.
I know. One of these days we need to cook together. We need to do something.
Yes, back in January we had a really good episode on, just how it takes time to change your brain, because we talked about this. Like you and I grew up this way, but in an American version of what you grew up with, and then you grew up like even more clear on what was good food and nutritious food. So it comes out in your cooking because it's not hard work. It's not hard work for you to cook healthy. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes natural to you. It comes sort of natural to me too because of how we grew up, but I'm still Americanized. So some days it becomes a little harder. What would you say to those people who feel like eating healthy or cooking healthy is hard work?
I think the easiest way is really how you look at it. I don't look at it like just cooking. To me, cooking is love. Cooking is family. Cooking is community. When I go into the kitchen, and it's so funny because when I'm very frustrated, if I've had such a crazy day, I need to decompress completely before I get into the kitchen. Because when I cook, I want to pour nothing but goodness into the food, because I believe in my crazy heart, in my crazy mind, that people can feel the energy from the food I cook. Is the reason why when people sit at my table, sometimes I have 15 women sitting in this table, eating food. I can see the joy. And I know it's not from them just eating the food. It's from the joy that I put in the food. It's not just because the food tastes amazing. It's the energy. So when you think of food, think of your health, think of the love, think of what this food is going to do. The food you're spending this time creating, even if you're cooking for one person, just think of, oh my gosh, I'm eating this food. It's going to make me feel so good. It's going to nourish me. That's how you have to look at food. It shouldn't be a chore.
Right. Yeah, that's so good. And I think you're right, because we were just talking about how healthy your food is, but how good it looks, because a lot of people don't think, your food can be healthy, taste good, look good, all of that. And how the both of us have this conviction about pouring love in. And I think you said this, but that's what people get out of it. They taste the love that's in that food. So yes, it's nutritious, but there's an energy that's also going in there that says, and part of the reason why you have that love, I would think, is because you're doing something good for the people you're cooking for. Like you said, whether it's one person, whether it's yourself or your whole entire family and friends, you're doing something good for them. So that kind of brings me to the lifestyle change question I said I wanted to get to. So this whole cooking and bringing love and nutrition to your family, this was something good that you were bringing to them. But now you have like this purpose, this passion, and this significant impact that you're about to make on the world. But by attempting to make an impact on the world, you impacted your family hugely by taking a step back out of corporate America. What was that transition like? And how did you guys get through it as a family, a team together?
Girl, it was hard. And I'm so grateful to God, because not everybody puts in this type of sacrifices and then comes out at the end winning. I know people who lost everything and never got anything back. So we went from a 2-income family who, I remember my kids, 12 months, they've already been to Europe. That's just how we roll. We had the money. We travel, we live life good. But then all of a sudden, we are a 1-income home. Not just a 1-income home. Even that 1 income, I was still digging in to put in the business. So,
because now the business became sort of like a family member. It had to get some of that.
The business is that child.
Yes.
That child who needs more than anybody else. And you're just hoping that, you're going to grow up and be somebody.
I love it. Yes.
And we downgraded everything, all our savings. I remember when we decided that we're going to take our 5 to 9, our kids. And I was looking at my husband, I'm like, should we? And he's like, baby, we're already this far. There is nothing we can do. This is, I think it's Forbes. I think it's Forbes magazine. They did a great article on me about this, because everything we owned, including our home, it was the hardest 6-7 years. Because the first 2 years wasn't as crazy. We had good saving. I had savings. But then when it's going away and it's not coming in, then you realize you can't even, something as basic as a pair of shoes, you can't even buy. And this is just the truth. I went for years without buying any new undergarment. And there are days I'll stand and look in front of the mirror. I'm like, wow, thank goodness I'm married, because this is a challenge.
Yes, ma'am. Oh my gosh. I know.
It was hard. But when you have a family that you look at each and everybody in there as a human unit. So this sacrifice wasn't like I was punishing A or punishing B. This is the same sacrifice that we would do for our kids. It's the same sacrifice we'll do for my husband. So it's the same sacrifice we're doing for me. This was something that we agreed that it's worthwhile, that it's okay. Yeah. You've been supporting my dream for so long. When I met my husband, he went back to school. I was working. And this is something that we do well.
Yeah.
So I can't even tell you how grateful. because I tell people all the time, the fact that we went through almost 7 solid years of the hardest financial, things that people would only dream of, like you can never even believe to understand that hardship can be this hard.
Yeah.
We never fought. Not once did my husband say, you know what, you go back to corporate America because this is gotten too hard, And people will laugh at us because my husband then, as a registered nurse, everybody is driving a fancy big car. They make serious money.
Yeah.
But at that point, we couldn't drive any fancy car anymore. So it's a Honda Accord. And people are like, oh my gosh, why are you sticking in this situation? You guys, we never fought about money. I told the story where I had $10. What do? Do I put gas in the car? If I put gas in the car, what are we going to eat? I walked 16 miles to the grocery store.
16 miles?
Yeah, I walked 16 miles. 1.6 I walked because we don't do junk food in my house. And I also know that with that $10, I can get enough stuff to make food that will last us for 3 days or so. I get rice, I get beans, we had a little bit of oil at home. And I made food that we ate for a couple of days. Those are choices. That's how broke. And I've shared my story on social media now that it's a thing, because sometimes you could encourage somebody else.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so glad you shared that. There was so many golden nuggets in there. Just that you push through no matter what. You talked about not arguing over money because it was a choice you made. And the business was just as important as any other of the family members. And you guys had decided that this was the choice. And you said, never once did you decide to go back. Like, oh, I'm going back to corporate America because this was it. It was forward. This was it. And you just keep going forward. I love all of that. That is exactly what this business ownership, this entrepreneurship is all about. It's about never giving up. I teach a 10-step program, and that's the last step, the never giving up, because the difference between the people who win and lose is they just kept playing. They just kept playing. And that's what it sounds like. You just keep playing. You don't stop. You don't give up. Let's talk about where you are now, because I think people need to hear this. And even though this is just the middle, it'll sound like an end for some people. So let's talk about where you are now. You went from Whole Foods and Dina DeLuca's, Target, Walmart now, and moving into Kroger. Is that right?
Yeah, we are moving into Kroger in just a few months. We should be in Kroger, because the whole idea is really to make this fresh, delicious food that's made like you would make in your own home kitchen, easily accessible. That's why Walmart was such a wonderful partner for us, because everybody should be able to feed their kids food that's made like they would at home if they're making it. When you look at food labels and see all these 50 ingredients, because it's everywhere, we think it's normal. It's not normal.
No, it's just common.
It's just common.
Right.
And there is a huge difference between common and normal.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my goodness. So I'm so glad we had this time. Now, you guys don't know this, but Agatha and I have been trying to get together and do this interview for a very long time. So I'm glad we got a chance to do this. I feel like everything you dropped was such good nuggets, but I also feel like there's so much more. Like people need more from you, because the energy you bring, the ease that you do this hard work with, because you may or may not know, but I'm always talking about how it's not just hard work. It's that faith you talked about. It's the hope you talked about. It's the passion. You can work hard. You can work your face off, like they say. And if you don't have that passion, if you don't have that faith, if you don't have the hope, you don't have the confidence, and you don't have the love and happiness, all of that goes into this soup of entrepreneurship or business ownership. Would you say, Agatha?
That's right. I totally agree. And that's, if you think of wellness, it's all of those things. You have your spirituality, you have your finance, it's good. You eat well, you have hope, you're happy, your environment, it's a positive environment. you go out and try to do some good, because then when you feel gratitude in your heart, that brings happiness. There is so many things that really helps keep you together so that you can pour into your business, because honestly, you can't pour what you don't have.
Oh, yes. That is so good. And on that note, we will wrap it up right there. I love that you cannot pour what you don't have. And so the wellness, they need that wellness in order to pour into their businesses, which is how they make the impact on the world that we're all working to make as business owners. Thank you so much for sharing your joy with us. You'll have to promise to come back.
I am going to come back. Okay. I promise.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me on Prosperity Report.
You are welcome. So you guys stay tuned for our 5-minute activation. But before we go to 5-minute activation, Agatha, how can they find you if they want to connect with you or buy Yummy Spoonfuls?
The very first thing, please go to yummyspoonfuls.com. Go on our social handle, which is Yummy Spoonfuls, whether it's on Facebook, on Instagram, or on Twitter, and just show some love. We share a lot of free recipes, but we have a store locator there that you can look for a store near you. Remember, Yummy Spoonfuls, literally, it's cooked just like you would in your home kitchen. We don't even add citric acid. For example, I would say our chicken bites, which is a healthier option of a chicken nugget, has no fillers. It's just made with chicken, broccoli, rosemary, thyme, black pepper, and some salt. That's it. That's how our meals are made. Wholesome ingredients. And for me, you can find me at agatha@chindu.com. That's my website. It's the same for my social handle, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I share a ton of recipes. Okay. You want to follow me on Instagram for sure.
Wow. I'm going to put all of that in the show notes so you guys can follow Yummy Spoonfuls and Agatha, get all those recipes, and start eating healthier, easier. So thank you, Agatha, and we will see you sooner.
Bye.
It's time for 5-minute activation, a quick financial therapy session to get you activated and on your way to increasing the love and money in your marriage. So can I get 5 minutes of your time? Just 5 minutes for a financial therapy activation. In today's 5-minute activation, I want to encourage you to fall in love with the plan. Because when you fall in love with the plan, you are more likely to stay on track. You are less likely to get distracted. Falling in love with your plan doesn't necessarily mean getting attached to your plan, because if you need to make adjustments to serve your best and highest good, then you do that in logic, not in emotion. Falling in love with your plan means understand why it is the plan. It means not being distracted by the Joneses and what they do. It means not getting distracted by your fleeting pleasures, but being connected to your deepest, true heart's desire. For example, in my plan, I say, I am a happily married, New York Times bestselling author, highly paid, highly sought after international speaker, and millionaire therapist in excellent health. That is my plan. Now, I can add to or subtract from some of those things I've already achieved. Some of them I still have to achieve. But because I have that plan and I am so in love with it, I know how to get back on track if I ever get off. If I ever start to eat unhealthy, I can say my plan out loud and bring myself back to good health or good eating habits. If I ever get distracted by what another relationship is doing, I can bring myself back on track to focus on my relationship so that I become a happily married woman. If I ever find myself not tracking my finances or not taking on projects, saying no when I know I should say yes, probably saying no out of fear. Have you ever experienced that? But instead of saying no out of fear, saying yes to my plan, So here's a few tips that you can do in order to fall in love with your plan. First, you have to know what the plan is. I was very clear that being a happily married New York Times bestselling author, international speaker, millionaire therapist, and being in excellent health, I'm very clear that that's important to me. So figure out what's important to you first. Then write it down. Now understand that affirmation that I just recited, I've been creating over the last 2 years. It started out with just New York Times bestselling author. Then I added the speaker, and I added the wife, and I added the excellent health and the therapist. So just get started. Write down, and you can add to it. And then repeat it. Read it over and over and over again until it gets ingrained in your body, in your mind. And then refer to it, especially if you feel yourself getting off track. Now, what do I mean by that? When you start to feel icky, that's the only word I can use to describe it. When something just doesn't feel right in your body, then you'll know you're off track. And just consult your plan. Read it, repeat it over and over every morning when you wake up and every night before you go to bed. This is how you ingrain it in your subconscious brain, and then your subconscious brain just goes after it. So whether it's your financial goal, your personal goal, your spiritual goal, even your mental or emotional goals, and your physical goals, put it in the plan and then fall in love with it. And you'll fall in love with it because it'll come from your true heart's desires. Deep down inside, what you really want, what your gut is reaching out for, not just those fleeting pleasures, not what the Joneses are doing, but what you truly want in your life. Fall in love with the plan, and the plan will fall in love with you. And that's our 5-minute activation for today. Whether financial or otherwise, your desires are within reach. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you want more love and money conversations, subscribe to this podcast. Also, tell your friends about us. I'll see you next episode. But in the meantime, head on over to KeneQuarter.com for more tips, tools, and resources. And go ahead and leave us a comment if you like. We'd love to hear from you. This show is not to replace professional counsel. The best advice comes from a professional you know. The topics discussed in this podcast are general in nature and are for entertainment and informational purposes only. We encourage you to meet with a professional to discuss your specific situation, whether financial or therapeutic. That's all for now. I'll see you sooner. Remember, no matter what anybody ever tells you, you can have wealth in all of its forms. Believe it, and you will soon see it.